The feeling of something I was terribly excited for being just as good, if not better than I had imagined, just brings me endless joy. Denis Villeneuve is in complete control of his craft. What a marvelous filmmaker. From frame 1 of Dune Part 2, you know that you are in good hands. You know that you're in the hands of someone who knows what they are doing, someone who has a specific vision for this world, a vision unwilling to compromise. Nolan wasn't kidding when he called this the Empire Strikes Back of the franchise, a comparatively darker and more expansive sequel that builds on the themes introduced in the first film. I'd be willing to say that it's a tad bit better than its predecessor. I'd avoided all the trailers and TV spots of the film, so I had very little idea of the imagery that I was going to be exposed to. Every time the Dune 2 trailer would play in theaters, whenever I'd go to see another film, I would close my eyes throughout it because I wanted to see it for the first time only in IMAX. And I'm so glad that I did because the experience was sensorial. The seats were shaking, and Zimmer is operating on a level that we cannot even comprehend. So, I will warn you guys of a spoiler alert. So, if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it and then come back to this video. Denis' use of psychedelic imagery is breathtaking. I found myself eagerly awaiting multiple scenes. Paul learning to ride the worm genuinely gave me chills. Witnessing that moment on an IMAX screen was nothing short of unforgettable. And the final minutes of the film is some of the finest filmmaking Denis Villeneuve has done. Just a masterclass in storytelling. Paul yelling "Silence!" at the Reverend Mother made the audience clap and cheer, and the final shot of a heartbroken Zendaya fighting her tears was just the cherry on top of this tragic tale. It already feels like an instant classic. Denis Villeneuve is a man of conviction. It takes guts and a level of precision and skill to be able to pull off such absurd concepts believably. I mean, Rebecca Ferguson talks to a fetus throughout the movie, and yet you buy it. I absolutely love this movie to death. I mean, there's so much that I want to talk about, like how in Gedi Prime, I love the simple yet effective creative decision to shoot the conversation between Lady Fenring and Fade Rotha in extreme close-ups, adding to the hypnotic feeling that Fenring induced Rotha too. Since we are in his perspective, when he fully becomes conscious, he finds himself in a completely different location, which is new to us, the audience, as well. The reason this film feels grand, epic, and larger than life is due to its excellent filmmaking. Villeneuve never does camera moves that would be impossible to shoot in live action. For example, in the sandworm riding scene, it's shot in such a way as if we are right there with Paul being blasted with sand. Even if a shot is mostly or entirely comprised of CGI, the digital camera never does anything that cannot be replicated by an actual camera on set. This makes for a sense of practicality to the set pieces. It does not take away from the immersion, instead, it adds to it. It makes the scene feel grounded yet believable. That is why Villeneuve manages to depict scale so brilliantly, and this sense of scale and grandiosity is why every scene works. Even though I've seen the film multiple times in theaters and I knew what was going to happen, when Paul rides that sandworm, I kid you not, I get shockwaves all over my body. Never once has that scene ever failed to give me goosebumps. The scope of the imagination is unbelievably insane. The character of Stilgar also goes to show the dangers of prophecies and messianic figures. He goes from someone simply concerned with the safety of his people to someone so blinded by fate that he's willing to give his life for it. But it's not admirable, it's sad. A decent man led astray beyond recognition. His unshaken belief in the prophecy of the Lisan al-Gaib is mostly taken as a joke at first with a few comedic moments, but then we just see how tragic his arc is by the end of it. And the third act of this film is already iconic in my eyes, and in every rewatch, I impatiently await for the climax. Everything comes together perfectly. The gorgeous golden hour look, my favorite fight scene in the entire franchise so far, multiple reaction shots of Chani that root the conflict in emotion. When Paul gets stabbed by Fade, we see reaction shots of Paul's loved ones and we know why they're concerned. But I was left wondering whether Jessica was worried for her son potentially dying or whether the Bene Gesserit sister in her was worried because Paul dying would disprove the prophecy. I love that conundrum, though it may not have a clear answer. Zimmer is on a different zone entirely. After Paul's victory against the Emperor, the main theme is played in this distorted, grungy, and grinding tone. It sounds like rusty machinery, and it just perfectly fits with this scene. It sounds so much more catastrophic, which works for Paul's slow descent into darkness, and when Paul agrees to marry Princess Irulan, Chani's reaction shot and the music conveyed her anguish perfectly. Zimmer introduces this new love theme for Paul and Chani, but when it's used again in the end, knowing the context, the feeling of love has now turned to feeling of betrayal, and the fact that she still loved Paul despite not believing in the prophecy makes the ending all more heartbreaking. because Chani really is the heart of the movie. No matter how grand and operatic the rise or fall of Paul may seem, it's the focus on Chani's reaction to this that makes her the film's and Paul's moral compass. That last shot is just beautiful and heartbreaking in every way. When I first watched this movie, I had gone with my friends, and when the screen cut to black, we all just sat there speechless. Instead of leaving, we sat through the credits, just soaking it all in, processing whatever we had seen. Even after walking out, all we were talking about was the film. Just the sheer disbelief of finally having seen it and how it turned out to be even better than what we had expected. We physically couldn't restrain ourselves from the excitement, thinking back on the unforgettable experience that we had just witnessed. All of us felt this collective love for the medium of film. It was a feeling I cherish wholeheartedly. This is the shit I live for. And it's rare to find a Hollywood blockbuster with such a specific directorial vision. Denis' fingerprints are all over this film. Only he could have made this. You can tell that it's made by someone who loves and cares about the source material. There is so much passion flowing through every frame, it's honestly extremely refreshing. Maybe I'm being a tad bit hyperbolic, but this was one of the best theatre going experiences I've had. The theatre began clapping when the credits ended, completely entranced, transported to another world entirely. Utter immersion. I so cannot wait for part 3. It's a real shame that we are going to have to wait many years for it. But once that's out, we are going to have one of the best cinematic trilogies on our hands. This was my most anticipated movie of the year, and I'm so glad that it lived up to it. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe. I know I have not uploaded on the channel for a while. It's just that I'm so busy with my own personal life and my own creative life. But I will try and upload videos as and when I can. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe, support the channel. It means the world to me. And until next time, I will see you later. Bye bye.